I know it's here somewhere. Finally. Oh, it's time for the doctor. You're listening to Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Take it away, Doctor.
Well, it's that time again, and the doctor is in. It's time once again for Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Yes, indeed, here we are for another episode of Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Now, last week was an interesting weekend for me, and so I didn't get a Dr. Bill netcast done, but I got a VertZine netcast done. I do so many netcasts, it's confusing sometimes. Anyway, it was a VertZine that apparently a lot of people are interested in. We've had a lot of viewers of this particular VertZine netcast. So, check it out on my YouTube channel. Yo, YouTube. Yes, check it out there. Or you can always go to VertZine.com, VirtZine.com. I had somebody tell me one time, Dr. Bill, VertZine is a stupid name for a podcast. Well, fooey on you. You start a podcast and call it whatever you want to call it. To me, Virtualization Magazine VertZine. It just worked. And besides, it's not like you're going to forget it, huh? Yes. Anyway, we are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network, both here on Dr. Bill and on VertZine and on the Handheld Hack. We are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network and techpodcast.com. This is where you come to get your tech. I'm not really supposed to say it that way. I'm supposed to say, if it's tech, it's here. But it works either way. So what are you going to do? So anyway. Okay, all it takes is one thing like that to throw me completely off my groove. I am sorry you've thrown Dr. Bill off his groove. Time for a Diet Pepsi. Yes. That was helpful. Okay. So we are also proud members of the International Association of Internet Broadcasters because, as I mentioned before, that's what we do. We broadcast over the interwebs to you. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about this week instead of talking about what we talked about last time, which I didn't because I was on a whole other netcast. Yes, I know it's confusing, Fred. But see, Fred only joins me for this show. He doesn't join me for the other shows. You know, the VertZine netcast is more serious than the Dr. Bill show. The Dr. Bill show is wild and wacky. And therefore, having an imaginary friend is okay. Yes. Aren't you a little old for an imaginary friend? I had someone ask me. Well, I'm young at heart. Indeed. Okay. So what we're talking about this week is that it is now legal to unlock your own phone. Now, it seems to me that this is a bit of a no-brainer. If it's your phone, you can do whatever you want to with it, it would seem to me. However, it has not always been so, you see. And it's actually kind of come and gone. There have been times when you could unlock your phone legally, and there are times when you couldn't. Well, now you can unlock it legally. Yes. This is an article from The Verge. It's finally happened as of today. This would be August 1st when it was written. As of today, it is unlocking your cell phone to work on other networks will be legal again in the U.S. Yes. Little fanfare. Didn't know I could do that, did you? I am multi-talented. Okay. Anyway, President Obama made clear last week that he would be signing the bill, a version of which had been already was recently agreed upon by both the Senate and the House of Representatives. That in of itself is like a miracle. that they agreed on anything. So it seems to me that this is definitely the way to go to make your phone legally your own, and you can do with it what you will. Toss it in the toilet if you want. You know, I wouldn't recommend that. Don't go saying, wait a minute, it doesn't work anymore, but Dr. Bill said I should. No, I didn't. Yeesh. Next item. LibreOffice 4.3 is out. Hooray! LibreOffice is my favorite version of Office. A, because it is free. B, because it is open source. And C, because it's just cool looking. Okay? So anyway, it's now out and it has new features. This is from an article by Stephen J. Von Nichols, my old buddy. He doesn't know me from Adam's House Cat, but I like him because he promotes Linux and open source, and that would pretty much automatically make you my buddy. If you try to say automatic and make at the same time, you get automatically. Just so you'll know. Anyway, he says of the new version, ever since LibreOffice split off from the troubled OpenOffice project in 2010, this open source Office suite has gotten better and better, and I agree. Yes. With this new release from the Document Foundation, LibreOffice 4.3 has established itself as the best non-Microsoft Office suite. Now that's hedging a bit. I would go so far as to say it is the best Office suite, Microsoft or not, because Microsoft's cost a ton of money, and LibreOffice is free. So that would do it for me right there. Okay? Anyway. It has better document interoperability. Support of Microsoft's Open Office XML, OOXML, aka OpenXML. Strict. OOXML graphics. Improvements for drawing ML theme fonts, preservation of drawing styles and attributes, embedded OOXML. Boy, that's hard to say. Files inside of another OOXML file. Support of 30 new Excel formulas and support of MS Works spreadsheets and databases. The new LibreOffice also supports Mac legacy file formats such as ClarisWorks, Claris Resolve, MacWorks, SuperPaint, and more. Whoa. It has an intuitive spreadsheet handling functionality. It has 3D models in Impress. It has comment management. You can now manage comments over off to the margin. You know, I've got a picture of that in the blog. The blog, of course, being drbill.tv, drbill.tv, as it says there on the screen. You should go there. By the way, this week I'm using my Chromebook. See Chrome there? For my source of checking what the blog actually says before I talk about it, which is a good thing. Otherwise, I'm just talking rather than following what I wrote in the blog. Keeps me straight. So I'm using the Chromebook actually in real life. Is this real life? Anyway. Yes, Fred, it's real life for me. It's not for you because you're imaginary. Got to keep him straight. You know, I mean, otherwise he'll get delusions of grandeur. Yes. Anyway, USB and security don't mix, says the article post title. This is written from Wired Magazine by Andy Greenberg. He says, computer users pass around USB sticks like silicon business cards. I've actually seen people that use USB sticks as business cards and have like documents on them about their business. They hand you a memory stick. It's got stuff written on the side and it also has documents, which is actually a cool idea. But they say here, although we know they often carry malware infections, we depend on antivirus scans and the occasional reformatting to keep our thumb drives from becoming the carriers for the next digital epidemic. So anyway, digital Ebola. Ew. Anyway, so they're saying that they've done this study, you see. And the study seems to indicate that it's not just that USB sticks are ubiquitous and that you use them a lot and you use them and stick them in different computers all the time, but by their very nature, they are less secure. I don't know about that, but that's what they say in this study. This was a study by SR Labs, and I suppose they know what they're doing. And then they also talk about USB hygiene. Now, that doesn't mean you should wash your USB stick. That would be bad, okay? Ugh. Anyway, there's an exploit running around called bad USB. Bad USB. Bad. And it jumps up, attacks your computer. Eats it all up. Not really, but, you know, sounds good. Sounds good for a fact. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, next item. Google Now will now work on all Android 4.1 Plus devices. Back in the day, you could only go, okay, Google, and get Google's attention, you know, on devices that were official Nexus, like Nexus 7 and Nexus 10 type devices. But now, any old Android 4.1 Plus device, which would be KitKat, that's what they call the operating system, you know, the Android operating system at that version level. So that's why I have a picture of a KitKat. Like that. Yes. Looks yummy, doesn't it? Anyway. So the Google Now Launcher, you can actually use it for, you know, other devices other than googly devices, which is cool. So the Google Now Launcher, you know, you can talk to your computer. Reminds me of Star Trek. The movie, one of the movies, not the motion picture, but the movie. Anyway, one of the movies, I think it may have been Search for Spock. I'm not 100% sure. Don't write me about it. Anyway, Scotty is about to put something into a Mac computer, and he says, "Hello, computer." Well, now you say, "Okay, Google." You probably should do it in Scotty's accent, if you can. The computer probably goes, "What?" But anyway. So it'll now work. Isn't that cool? Whoa! Thank you, Fred. Fred is, of course, doing the official Geek Software of the Week. Drum roll, Geek Software of the Week this week is Restarter. As it says there on the screen, Restarter. As that name implies, it restarts programs. You see, this past week I had a situation where I had a... this is going to sound like a kind of a silly story, but it helped me find the Geek Software of the Week, so it's okay. Okay. So what it was, I had a process that was dying on one of my Citrix servers. See, I manage Citrix and VMware and Linux at our local hospital. And so I was there, and one of my processes died on my Citrix server. It was the Citrix Print Manager. And I was starting it by hand, and I thought, you know, I should be able to just have this restart just because it died. There needs to be something that can watch it and say, oh, look, that process died, let's restart it. So I started doing a search for Restarter programs, and I found one. Of course, as I thought about implementing it, turns out it does support Windows Server 2008 R2 64-bit, so that was going to be good. But then as I did a little more research, I discovered that Windows Server 2008 R2 64-bit already has a restarter built into it. You should have known that, Dr. Bill. Well, it was a change from 2003 to 2008 that I didn't catch. So phooey on you, if you thought that I should have already known that. I just happened not to. But anyway, now I do. So what you can do is you can go into your services, find the service that is occasionally dying, and going into advanced properties, you find that you can set it to restart. Matter of fact, you can set it to restart once, restart yet again, or restart every time. And of course, since you want your print manager running all the time, I went ahead and set it to restart every time, okay? But anyway, you get the idea, but that's the whole thing behind this restarter program. It will work on all the various versions of Windows, including the older 2003 server, which doesn't have that feature built into it, so this would work well for that. He says of this program, the author says, Restarter is an application that automatically monitors and restarts crashed or hung programs and applications. It was originally developed to monitor and restart game servers. But it will do the job for any console or forum-based program or application. For example, IRC clients or servers, FTP servers, mail servers. Restarter will help ensure that your critical programs are always up and running. If your application crashes or if someone accidentally shuts it down, the restarter will automatically restart the program and all the parameters are with all the parameters that you have specified. Restarter also has the option to log, raise alarms, and execute scripts on critical events, which makes it a pretty powerful little program, you gotta admit. So you may have been looking for this very program, Restarter. Yes, this week's Geek Software of the Week. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed all the craziness that is the Dr. Bill Show and learned something along the way. You know, if you accidentally learn something along the way, I feel like it's just kind of extra credit, you know? Yes. So remember until next time that the doctor is out of here. Dr. Bill, the Computer Curmudgeon, is a production of drbillbailey.net with all the honors, rights, and privileges thereunto appertaining.